Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. All praise is due to Allah, and may His peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. To all our viewers out there, we like to say Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And thank you for joining us in this beautiful dialogue that we are having with our beloved guest here, Dr. Jaffar Sheikh Idris. Dr. Jaffar, it is good to be with you again here. And last time we spoke, we were talking about not only the Quran, but even previous scriptures that were sent down by Allah were not only rational, but they were also inviting to this idea of you are endowed with the faculty of intellect, so do put it to use. And the Quran alludes to this, not only alludes, but directly emphasizes this idea in different ways and forms. And we're wondering if we can shed some light on this Quranic approach.
Yes, I think we emphasize the fact that the Quran and all revealed religions address people as rational people. Now, the Quran, as if it's telling people that you are asking you nothing more than abiding by these rational criteria that you use in your daily life. We will use the same criteria to invite you to the truth. So we are not telling you something mysterious or something that you don't understand. And we can enumerate some of these.
And I think, Sheikh, you already said that we already apply this, and you gave that beautiful example about the business deals.
Yes.
Where people are mostly...
Yes, I said that people become very rational when it comes to business. Now, we can go into some details of the characteristics of rational people. First, they like to understand. They don't just follow. So understanding, and this, as we said, is in the Quran. They don't like contradictions. We said that. They what we didn't say also, it is rational people don't like their deeds to contradict their words. And the Quran says, أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون. Do you invite people to do good and you forget yourself?
To do that good that you're inviting people to.
أفلا تعقلون.
Don't you understand?
Don't you have reason? Don't you understand? When the Quran asks a rhetorical question, this means that the matter is understood. That he doesn't. The Quran is not telling people that they should not contradict. Their deeds should not contradict their words. It is telling that you know this. And this is a bad thing. So why are you doing it? أفلا تعقلون?
Sheikh, interestingly, people would think this to be more of a moral argument than an intellectual argument. That your deeds do not necessarily confirm your beliefs.
Yes.
The Quran approach is...
Yes, but some people, especially in the West now, understand intellect in a narrow sense. I am saying that rational people, whether they be in the West or the East, this is what they do. For rational people, moral values are part of their rationality.
I see. I see.
A rational person would not say, I don't care if a person lies or doesn't lie. He would not say, I don't care whether a person is honest or not honest. There is no rational people in their everyday life, and I'm talking about rational people. I'm not saying people who are intellectuals or people who are holders of PhD degrees or people who are educated. These ordinary rational people. This is how they behave.
So within that circle of rational is not only intellectual arguments, but based on that, we get our moral understanding and values.
Yes, well, I'm saying that the moral is part of the intellectual, a part of being rational. Let us say rational instead of. Also, rational people use also aesthetic values. And no one prefers the ugly to the beautiful. This is also one of the criteria that the Quran uses. In fact, Allah is described as being beautiful. His names are beautiful. The Quran is in beautiful language. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. So the Quran uses this because ordinary people use this. Aesthetic values. That applies to appearances, and it applies also to things like what do you call it?
Fragrances.
Yes. No one prefers nasty things to
good,
beautifully smelling things, and so on. The Quran, yes, rational people also prefer what is more useful. What is more useful to what is less useful. Some people think that this has nothing to do with religion. But as we said last time, the Quran uses this commercial terminology, yes. And people are when people are rational, of course they prefer what is more profitable, even in the worldly manner. When we come, inshallah, to talk about morality, we'll see that the Quran, even about morality, it uses the word nafi', useful. It is useful for you to be moral. So in Islam, it takes the human. Islam, I must emphasize the fact that now I am talking about all revealed religions. They take the human person as a whole, and because this is how God created him. There is no dichotomy, as you use the word, between reason, morality, aesthetic values. This is how the human person is made and how he believes. A rational person also will make a sacrifice something present for something more useful or in the future. This is what business people do.
Foregoing a small immediate gain
for a bigger
gain
in the future. And the Quran uses the same argument about this world and the hereafter. You might gain by telling a lie in this world, but it tells them that you gain. Yes, you gain. Perhaps you'll.
It does not deny the fact that you will benefit from this,
but
compared to the benefit to come,
and this is what you use when you do business. So the Quran also, rational people look for the wisdom behind things. Why is this so? Why do we do this? And the Quran uses the same criteria.
And I think that's what you spoke about earlier, of this idea, tadabbur, to reflect and to ponder.
Yes.
And that is going beyond the obvious to see what is really behind what's going on.
And we must emphasize also the fact again that all rational people behave like this. And in fact, people behave rationally. I don't know what I can say most of the time. But a rational person is a person who behaves rationally all the time. But sometimes when it is to a person's interest, or so, he will behave rationally. If behaving rationally or using a rational argument serves some interest, he will use that argument. But a rational person will abide by rationality all the time. And this is what the Quran is asking people to be. To accept, to be rational all the time, and to apply these rational criteria even to religion, to distinguish between a false religion and a true religion, a good religion, a bad religion.
No. Interesting. So how do we describe a person that is supposedly rational, however sometimes they are not? What are they called when they are not being rational?
No, they are called irrational.
at that point.
No. Yes, he will not be called a rational person, even if sometimes he behaves rationally. Just like a liar. I once said in a lecture that even the biggest liar tells the truth most of the time. He tells the truth. There is no... he doesn't lose anything by saying that this is a piece of paper, these are matches, the light is on. He doesn't have to tell lies about this. Even the biggest liar, we call him liar, in spite of the fact that sometimes, or most of the time, he tells the truth. Again here, we call him or her irrational, in spite of the fact that on many occasions the person behaves rationally.
Sheikh, I am wondering, with all these praises that are mentioned in the Quran with regard to people who are rational and the use of intellect and what have you, are there certain areas where intellect does not really help anymore, or using it, or it does not become a useful tool to us?
No. You see, I read the Quran several times looking for, and the Hadith, looking for what people claim. You find now even people who are very good Muslims have something, have a problem with reason or aql, and they call the people who do not abide by the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ aqlaniyin, or who interpret the Quran in their own way aqlaniyin. So I once wrote an article. I said, they are not aqlaniyin. They are not rational people. You are praising them when you say they are rational people. There is nothing in the Quran. It is nowhere mentioned in the Hadith or the Quran that someone deviated because of his reason.
Sheikh, that is such an unbelievable statement that you have made. We would certainly love to challenge and hear more about it. So please do stay tuned, and we shall return soon.
Subhanallah wa bihamdih, Subhanallah al-Azim, Subhanallah wa bihamdih, Subhanallah al-Azim.
Assalamu alaikum again, and thank you for joining us back. And we stopped at an extremely impressive statement, if you want to call it, and that is, the Quran does not make a statement such as a person deviated because they used their intellect.
Yeah, and this is something I'm making just now a negative statement. But there is something positive. The Quran equates in two verses, equates being rational with having faith.
Being rational with having faith.
Yeah. An irrational person cannot have faith. And a truly faithful person must be a rational person. أولئك الذين هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب. Those are the people whom Allah guided, and those are the people who have albab. You can translate it as reason or intellect or so. So there is no contradiction at all in the Quran and the Sunnah. It doesn't say that there is a contradiction between being rational and having faith.
Sheikh,
in fact, faith must be based on knowledge. Contrary to what people now say, I believe so, but I'm not sure. So the Quran says no. A belief must be based on knowledge.
Knowledge that would lead to certainty, so you cannot say...
you don't believe in something for which of which you have no knowledge. No. So belief, many people now, Arabic and English, both. أنا أعتقد so, but لكني مش متأكد. I believe so, but I am not sure. That's the wrong statement. If you are rational, you must base your faith or your belief on knowledge.
Sheikh, I think that's what was emphasized the first time we spoke about this idea.
No.
And I think you just said it, and that is, if you are a believer, you must be a rational person.
No.
And if you are irrational, you cannot be faithful.
No. But of course, when we say a believer, I don't want the listeners to understand that anyone who calls himself a Muslim is the most rational person in the world. Because
we have our fair share of irrational Muslims.
It depends on the degree of faith you have, degree of knowledge of your religion. The more you are knowledgeable of your religion, the more you are rational. And knowledgeable, and according to the Quranic conditions, that you understand what you read, you think about it, and so on. So by following the Quranic advice of reflecting, of pondering, of understanding, and so on, your ability to reason increases. So I don't want people to think that just by someone calling himself a Muslim, he can be
rational person by default.
But because I know of some people who are Muslims, and I have no doubt about their honesty, but most of the time they are not rational, and in fact they think that this is the way it should be for a Muslim. Someone once told me that he puts the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ before empirical facts. I said, now you are creating a problem where there is no problem. And then he gave me the example, I think I mentioned it in my book, the example of the man whom the Prophet advised to take honey to cure him. And at first the honey made his condition worse. Now, this man took this as a proof that the empirical fact is not important. I said, suppose that the man drank honey for 50 times, and every time his condition becomes worse. He will come to the Prophet and say, what you told me is not the truth.
It's not working.
And how do we distinguish between falsehood and truth? It is by seeing whether the statement corresponds to the facts. If the statement does not correspond to the fact, then we, as rational people, we say this is false. If someone says that this piece of paper is black and it is white, we say that his statement is false. He's not telling the truth. So there can be nothing like this in any truly revealed religion from God.
And interestingly, Sheikh, you're saying that the closer you are in your knowledge as far as the religion that was revealed by God, the more rational, supposedly, you become.
Yes.
People usually look to becoming more spiritual, more undoing with reason.
Okay. Again, there is no dichotomy between these. Yes, I know that people think that if you are religious, you are emotional. Yes.
You're more devout. You're looking for
spirituality
tranquility,
is different from being rational. But no, all of these go together. And all these are qualities of the soul, anyway. These are qualities of the soul. They are not qualities of the body. Even the brain, as a material thing, is used by the soul.
In case you're wondering, we do have an episode with regard, I believe, to the concept of the soul, or that part right there. Sheikh, an earlier question with regard to, is there an area where intellect is not to be used, or intellect does not come in as a handy tool to gain more information?
No, the intellect as something pure in the mind does not help you to discover facts, whether they are worldly or religious.
One more time. It does not help you to discover facts.
And if you close your eyes and sleep in the bed, then you cannot talk about astronomy and say the distance between the moon and the sun is so and so. And your intellect works with data that comes through the senses. And that is why the Quran, when it said that when God brought you out of the wombs of your mothers, you came out knowing nothing. Then He endowed you with hearing, sight, and mind. So without the senses, the intellect cannot do much.
And I like what you said. It is data that is later on processed by the intellect, through which we are able to...
Yeah, this applies to religious knowledge and to worldly knowledge. So we are not saying that a rational person, a faithful person, is rational in the sense that he can just close his eyes and lie in his bed and says, and I think that Salah must be so and so, that Siyam must be so and so. No, he has to have knowledge. But if he is intellectual, then he uses. You remember the hadith, رب مبلغ أوعى من سامع.
Sure.
Someone has very good senses. He hears, he understands what he hears. He conveys it to someone else, and that someone benefits more from
the deliverer of the message.
Yes. And that is, in fact, the distinction between people in knowledge is not just the amount of the knowledge. It is well known that there were many people who knew more of the Sunnah of the Prophet than Abu Hanifa, for example. But with that less knowledge of the Sunnah, he became a greater alim than those
who had more knowledge.
Knowledge of the hadith of the Prophet. And the Imam Ahmad used to say, فهم الحديث أحب إلي من حفظ حروفي.
Nice.
The understanding of the hadith is more important than
the letter.
Learning
committing it to memory, understanding
it to memory. I think there's a point that I wanted to mention, I forgot, is that because Islam addresses people as rational people, it has bridges with people. And I think I mentioned this in the conference that we attended in India, when they asked me to talk about building bridges between Islam and one of these Asian religions. And I said, we don't need to build the bridges because the bridges are already there. If these are rational people, then we have
a bridge already.
we have a bridge already built. But then we can also add that there are special bridges. The special bridges are between us and people who are not only rational, but who accept some of the Islamic truths. For example, a person who is rational, but who believes in the existence of the Creator. Person who is rational, who does not only believe in the existence of the Creator, but that Creator should be worshipped. Who believes in prophets, someone who believes that Jesus was a prophet, Abraham was a prophet, and so on. So Islam, you find many arguments in the Quran. The Quran bases the argument on this premise. So if you believe that, for example, that verse in the Quran, وما قدر الله حق قدره إذ قالوا ما أنزل الله على بشر من شيء قل من أنزل الكتاب الذي جاء به موسى. You cannot believe in Moses as a prophet and then say
God did not send a book. Never send a book.
No, you can't do it. So, and also when we come inshallah to talk about prophets, also we'll show that the Quran tells them, if you believe that so and so is a prophet, then you should not attribute to him these immoral things, that because a prophet cannot do something. Yes,
not defaming his character. Sheikh, the deeper we are getting into this, the more exciting it is getting, and it seems that the time runs faster and faster. The more anxious I am getting. So with this, we will come to the end of this episode of our program, hoping that you would join us next time. On my behalf and behalf of Sheikh Jaffar, we would like to say thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.